Good afternoon and welcome to the End Time News TV program. I'm your host, Brian Delory, and I thank you all for tuning in to the program this afternoon. And today I'm going to be discussing current events based on a biblical perspective. There's a lot of things happening in the world right now. Many people, many Christians even, are asking why these things are happening. And the answer is very simple. It's because they were predicted by the writers of the New Testament, or by God through the writers of the New Testament, to happen. And so this is not something that should surprise us. The recent terrorist attacks last week and now this past Friday, all this is predicted to happen. And if you just read 2 Timothy chapter 3, you'll find that it tells us in the last days perilous times shall come. It's that simple. Why? Because men will be lovers of their own selves, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, on and on it goes. That's why these things are happening. But I want to first address the police shooting in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the subsequent riots. This is once again an opportunity for the Hillary-supporting welfare recipients to have a pretext to riot in the streets like the bunch of animals they are, because it seems as though these officers who shot this man have now been exonerated. Now, I know there's news footage out there that is showing that there was no gun in his hand. Well, I've seen the videotape from the dash cam view of one patrol vehicle, and when the man gets out of the car, there's clearly something in his hand, but the video is moving so quickly, or the man rather is moving so quickly, that you don't get a chance to really see what it was. Then you see him walking backwards in the direction of that patrol car, and then suddenly shots ring out and he falls to the ground. Good riddance. I could care less. You want to live a life that's opposed to God, doing what you want to, hating the police, despising authority, and you refuse to obey the commands of the police. The police had his car surrounded. They were screaming, "Drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun." He gets out of the car. It appears to me that there was something in his hand, and a picture after he is shot shows a gun lying at his feet. I have no sympathy for you. I have no sympathy for the animals that are now rioting in the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina. These people should all be picked up and thrown into a cell and confined for a year, and let them really have something to riot about. And then the daughter of this individual who was shot is taunting police, calling them all kinds of names. This is what this individual who was shot and killed by the police produced. That's his offspring. And they're only following his example in life. And so, therefore, you can see what kind of individual this man was. The police were attracted to him, apparently. They were there on another call, or I think to serve a warrant. And They were while they were in the process of trying to locate the person whom they were to serve the warrant on, they noticed this man, they noticed the marijuana, and when they approached the vehicle, they say they noticed a gun. There was also a ankle holster attached to his ankle. So his family screaming he didn't have a gun, yet there's a gun in the photo. After he is shot, there's a gun lying right there. There were too many people around for the police to have planted that gun. That gun belonged to that man. And I'm certain that this is all going to come out and be exposed very shortly. Of course, I'm sorry for the coughing. The police are now working on it. And this man is, this is going to be exposed for what it is. Just another a riot. These jungle jumpers, they all have the same goal in mind now. They're all members of Black Lives Matter. And every time, and by the way, the interesting thing about this individual, I keep forgetting his name, Keith Lamont Scott, I believe it was, his rat of a daughter is screaming that the police shot my daddy because he was black. Oh, really? Well, he was shot by a black police officer, you moron. So how does that even fit in with the narrative you're trying to push? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. The police officer was black and the man who was shot was black. So there goes your theory about white cops hunting down black males to kill. This is a bunch of nonsense. But again, this was predicted to happen because they do not accept the truth. The Bible tells us in the book of 2 Timothy, I think it's chapter 3, verse 5, that men will be in the. It doesn't phrase it exactly as I'm going to, but it's speaking about men in the last days and the types of their sins and the attitudes they will have. And one of the things it says about them is that they will resist the truth. Well, the truth is being resisted right now. I think the truth is pretty clear to the animals on the streets of Charlotte right now, and that this man, first of all, was smoking marijuana, in possession of a firearm, and when the police approached his vehicle, he did not obey their commands. It's just that simple. You know, you want to live like the hellion you are. You want to live rejecting God. You got what you deserve. The wages of sin is death. That is it, period. End of story. Now on to the next thing I want to address. This situation in this tragic shooting in the shopping mall in Burlington, Washington. When, as you all know, when this was first announced, when the news story first broke, it was reported that it was a Hispanic male. I saw the picture on Newsmax. The minute I saw the picture, I knew it was a Muslim. And of course, now the rat has been arrested, and it's been proven that he is indeed a Muslim. Okay, so why must the police, law enforcement authorities, whomever who's involved in these situations, always do their best to try and downplay the terrorist angle? Why must they do that? There's no reason for doing that. I mean, it should be assumed that if a male or walks into or whoever, maybe even a female, walks into a mall and mows down 5 people, it should automatically be assumed it's terrorism. I mean, we are living in the age of terrorism. Why is it so hard just to say it's a terrorist attack, or it appears to be a terrorist attack? We are working from that angle. If it turns out to be something different, then we will announce that we were wrong. This was not a terrorist attack. It was another type of situation. But it should be assumed from the start that it's a terrorist attack, and it should be addressed that way. It should be reported that way, and that's the way it should be done. But nobody listens to that because they're all too busy being politically correct. Everyone's being politically correct. We have no reason to treat these scum with kid gloves and act like, we don't want to offend the Muslims. Listen, the Muslims are going to be offended by you because you exist. For that reason alone, they're offended by you. They see you walking down the road and you're not even looking at them, and they're offended by you. And they're commanded by their holy book, the Quran, to kill the infidel. And the infidel to them is anyone who does not believe in their religion. If you do not believe in Islam, you are an infidel and worthy of death. That's the way they view you. And so you're going to be offensive to them regardless of anything that you do, as long as you are not on their side. And even Muslims who are on their side, but who just desire to live a peaceful life, which, by the way, is really an oxymoron. If you mention Muslims and peace in the same sentence, it's an oxymoron because by definition, a Muslim is someone who has been commanded to kill all who do not believe. This is talking about true Muslims, all who do not believe in Allah, who do not believe in the teachings of the Quran. Anyone who does not believe in that is an infidel, and all Muslims are taught to kill and destroy in any way they can those who are opposed or not a part of the Muslim religion. That even includes Muslims who are not extreme enough. I mean, if you're going to be a true Muslim, you must kill people. That is the teaching of the Quran. And I'm not advocating that. I'm just telling you that's what the religion teaches. But there are people who call themselves Muslims who want to be peaceful. Well, for the Muslim extremist, if you want to call them that, because there's really no such thing. That's a misnomer. I just call them for the Islamic jihadists who want to wage the global caliphate against the infidels. Well, you're not good enough for them because you want to have peace and just live your life and live and let live. So they will kill you if they have a chance. This is just an evil, diabolical religion that has no place in America. And I do hope Donald Trump is elected, and I hope that he outlaws the practice of Islam in America. This does not fit in with a free society. This is not a religion that is tolerant and that can peaceably coexist with those who do not subscribe to their view of God. And because of that, you're always going to have this problem. And now, of course, because of the actions or inactions of Barack Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, John effing Kerry, and anyone else who has been involved with the Obama administration, because of their inaction, ISIS is metastasizing throughout the world. Okay, they are spreading throughout the world, and we are here in America with the inability to control our borders because of the actions of our president and political leaders. And so they can come in through the border. They can come in any number of ways. Obama's bringing them in by the droves. And what do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's bringing these people in because he has such a good heart and because he cares so much for them? Of course not. He's bringing them in the hopes that they will do the very thing the Muslims this past week and the Muslims last week did in this country. That's what he's hoping for. And sadly, I was praising God last week because there were no casualties. There were no casualties except for the terrorists in Minnesota. Unfortunately, I cannot say that about this particular attack. 5 people were killed, 5 innocent people, lives were taken for absolutely no reason. And unfortunately, I was hoping that this Muslim fanatic piece of scum would try to engage the police and die in a shootout. Sadly, he will now be given, as Donald Trump has said, the best of legal representation, and it'll drag on and on through the courts so that by the time they get around to actually trying the case, this guy will, the people will forget, and he won't receive the prison sentence and the punishment that he once would have had they gone in with this at the very beginning. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of things happening in the world now. You know, Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, there will be wars and rumors of wars. The next thing I want to address is this recent joining of forces between Iran and Russia. Now, it's no coincidence to me that if you read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, it speaks of a Russian, Iranian, and Islamic Confederation that comes against Israel to destroy Israel. Thankfully, God intervenes, and these armies are themselves destroyed. And this is really the end of Islam at that point. So if you're wondering what's going to happen to Islam, just read about what is really the Third World War. You can read that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, 39. And it tells you what the end of these countries is going to be. And it does not bode well for them because they are attacking Israel, the apple of God's eye, and therefore, God is not going to allow them to get away with that. And at that point, God intervenes and destroys them. And then subsequent to that, the Antichrist comes to power, and Israel, after being delivered so miraculously by God, enters into a 7-year agreement with the Antichrist for protection. And halfway through that 7-year period, the Antichrist turns on Israel. And then, of course, they cry out to the Messiah at the end, and they are saved. But this is what is now happening in the world. This is what the Bible has predicted to happen. It comes as no surprise to me. It should be no surprise to anyone who is a true Christian who has studied the Word of God. It should not come as any surprise. And there's going to be more taking place. And I'll get into that on another day. But I'm going to go ahead and close out the program for now. And I thank you all for tuning in. The website for this program is endtimenewstv.com. You can go there. There are some materials uploaded there that you can avail yourselves of. I would strongly recommend going to the links page because the links page is linked to many great websites, including several of my other websites. And I think you will be blessed by the materials that are posted on those websites. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to tune into the program on a Sunday afternoon. And as always, when I close out the program, I leave you with this reminder to keep the faith and defend the truth. Have a good day, everyone.